Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Today I wanted to make a 100 subscriber special to talk about my hot takes when it comes to video games. Um, First off, I wanted to say thank you guys for subscribing and keeping along watching these videos, and a lot of them are serious or not serious or a little weird sometimes, but I wanted to show you guys how much I really appreciate it by trying to piss you off. If that makes sense. So today I wanted to go over some gaming hot takes that I wanted to see how y'all would react to. First off, honorable mentions. Please do not kill me. We are not doing a Crash Bandicoot retrospective. Help me God. In my absolute opinion, I think Halo Reach has the best story in the franchise. Now, don't get me wrong, the other Halo games have great stories. I love Halo 2 and I love Halo 3, and especially ODST, but to me, Halo Reach is the best Halo game of all time. The themes of the characters are incredible. The gameplay is almost, if not even better than the majority of Halo games to this date. I also think that the cast and characters and the voice actors or the voice actresses are absolutely amazing. The story is so heartbreaking. It's so filled with just God. I want to cry my eyes out thinking about all the crew members' deaths. It was just a really touching story, and just everything else. The gameplay is still just some of the most amazing gameplay we've had in the series. And to be honest, I think this was the last good Xbox exclusive game to this date, in my opinion. I think that Halo Reach was the best Xbox game ever made, and it should be the prime reason to get an Xbox, besides maybe Halo 2. Anyway, next I'm stuttering here. Next hot take here. Arkham Batman is better than Insomniac's Spider-Man. This one's a heavy hitter. I know a lot of people like Spider-Man, but I think that Arkham Batman was way better. It was such a better series. Even though I love the Spider-Man games, I've platinumed the Spider-Man games, I absolutely love the Batman Arkham games. I think that Batman Arkham has some of the best storytelling when it comes to its like comic book adaptation and its world building, its characters, its combat. I've had more fun with Arkham Batman than I ever did with Spider-Man, and it's I know it's crazy. It's crazy to say, I find the games more fun. I find the storytelling a lot better than Spider-Man. And I just look, don't hate me. I just like Batman more than I do Spider-Man when it comes to when it comes to games. Okay, I'm so sorry. And after that horrible take, I know you guys probably want to kill me. So, let's move on to the next one. Silent Hill is the standard on how to make survival horror games. Not that there's hardly anything wrong with how survival horror games are being made today. I just think that Silent Hill itself should be the standard and not Resident Evil. I know it's hard to think that, but in my mind, I absolutely think that Silent Hill should be the standard and not Resident Evil. The atmosphere, the creatures, the story, the characters are all examples, just mere examples, on how the franchise is amazing, how it can scare the absolute Jesus out of you. It's something that should be studied for how amazing it is. Not just like Silent Hill's like depths or anything, but like how well it worked when it first came out. And I'm not just talking about like, the second game. I'm talking about the whole franchise. And Resident Evil kind of showed us the example of like what happens if you try to change too much to appeal to fans. I mean, same thing with Silent Hill, but I think Resident Evil shows it off more with it turning to action and not returning to its horror roots, which I hope Resident Evil 9 shows us a better path when it comes to its survival horror roots. And I do the same thing with Silent Hill. I pray that Silent Hill F is going to be good. And I just think that these games are great examples on how to make survival horror games. Just think that Resident Evil isn't the prime example anymore, especially since the remake for this game just came out. But anyways, on to the next one. Max Payne is a better example on how to write a redemption arc than Red Dead Redemption. I know this might piss you off, in my opinion, but in my humble opinion, I think Max Payne is a way better franchise than Red Dead Redemption. And not only that, I think that Max Payne himself is more well written than any character in Red Dead Redemption. And I don't say that lightly because I'm a huge fan of Red Dead Redemption and I'm a huge fan of Max Payne. I think these two games are the best games that Rockstar has ever made or produced. Hell, I think it's better than most series on this planet. But in my humble opinion, I just think that Max Payne is just a lot better of a character than John Marston and Arthur Morgan and Dutch all combined into one. And to give you an example, it's really hard to give you an example because it's a really hot take, but here we go. During the events of the first and second game, Max Payne loses his family and loses his touch to reality. He becomes a man that is so shallow and so hollow that any mere sight of the fact that he has lost his family, he becomes so enraged and engulfs himself with drugs, alcohol, painkillers, anything to suffocate the pain. And the story of Max Payne is thoroughly, sorry, about the story of a man going through change. And the redemption of Max Payne in Max Payne 3 shows him finally moving on and actually helping people than helping himself. Even though that the characters that he does help don't really matter too much. I mean, there could be a lot better writing, in my opinion. But Max Payne himself learns that there is more than life than just becoming what people set you out to be. That you're more than just a killer, that you're more than just a person, you're more than just the soul. You are you. And that's what Max Payne learns in Max Payne 3. See, a lot of the stuff that I said probably can appeal to a lot of Red Dead fans as well, but to me, there's some things that Red Dead falls off with. And that is the perspective of gameplay or game versus story. And you could say, well, Red Save Point, what do you mean by that? And I'll just give you an example. See, John and Arthur Morgan, yeah, him, both go through kind of the same similar story arc. They're both terrible people who have done terrible things and they become better near the end of the story. But during the gameplay, you can make Arthur and John however you want. You can make them big assholes, kill anybody you want. You can make them get run over by a train. You can do whatever. And it really can hurt the story and take you out of the immersion of what these characters could be. And in my opinion, it just hits different after you've played Red Dead Redemption so many times. And I don't know, it's just, it kind of hurts it, in my opinion. But Max Payne doesn't do that. Throughout every single game, Max Payne is a killer. You don't hardly see him help people. But along the way, when you go through all three games, you learn that Max is changing. Max is beginning to change. He's learning to love himself and learning to actually care for others around him. Now, you can argue and be like, well, but what about the freaking High Honor playthrough of Red Dead 2? What about the High Honor? But that's the thing, is that it only activates with the way that you play the game. And a lot of people are not going to experience that if they start dicking around in the game. While in Max Payne, everything's shown to you right in front of you. Anyway, let's head up to the next and final hot take. The Last of Us is an example on how to ruin a game's identity. The high beloved game series, The Last of Us, is a game series that became very popular overnight through its run. But throughout the years of multiple adaptations and multiple remasters and multiple failures, The Last of Us has become sort of a laughingstock at PlayStation. And I say that lightly, and I don't mean to piss off any Last of Us fans, but, as a member of the Last of Us community who's a fan of the games, I honestly think that Last of Us has run its course and it should not return. I don't think that we should get a third game. And I'll give you some examples why. Firstly, I think that Last of Us has run its course in popularity. After the huge disappointment of the TV show and the huge disappointment of The Last of Us 2, I think that The Last of Us as a franchise has begun to dwindle, and I think it's just too far gone. Until maybe later on down the years, they could probably do something else with it. But in my humble opinion, as I say it, I think that Last of Us has run its course, and I think that Last of Us 2 ended on a perfect note. In my opinion, I thought The Last of Us 2 was a great game, but I do think that the franchise should end with The Last of Us 2. And the game's identity has been ruined by Neil Druckmann. I think that Sony and PlayStation have run its course with this very appealing IP and absolutely ruined it for a lot of people. The TV show is a prime example, with it being a huge disappointment after the successful first season. The second season of The Last of Us is an absolute laughingstock amongst the community, and it is just a horrible adaptation on how to do a season. Even though they could have done so much better with both the season and the video game, Neil Druckmann has said multiple times that he literally does not give a fuck. He does not care. He does not want to be involved with The Last of Us anymore, and he's clearly moved on with the rest of his IPs. He's not returning to The Last of Us anytime soon, and he's going to be playing around with Interstellar or whatever the fucking new game is. But The Last of Us should not be forgotten, though. I don't think that The Last of Us should be forgotten. I think The Last of Us 1 is a perfect video game. I think that The Last of Us 1 is amazing. I think people should play it. I think the gameplay is amazing. But people should know that The Last of Us' identity has run its course. It's not as popular as it used to be when the games first came out. It is an example on bad writing. It's an example on good writing. And the game is just a mix up of so many wrongs and rights that I think that The Last of Us is a complete jumble on how to do things when it comes to video games. And in my opinion, I just think that The Last of Us just should be put down, but have a nice picture on the memorial, if you get what I mean. The franchise, I think, should go ahead and just be put down and have its course just have multiple other types of games. I think PlayStation needs to work on its other older franchises instead of Last of Us, because the remakes and the remasters have gone extremely up the roof. I think it's a joke amongst the community how everybody keeps making remasters of The Last of Us 1 and The Last of Us 2. And honestly, I kind of agree. I think they should worry more about other things. And it's great that we got more Last of Us content, but I also hate the fact that a lot of the content that we did get was a $10 upgrade that easily could have been a free update. And Neil Druckmann, I hate you. I'm going to say that lightly. Neil Druckmann, I hate you, and I think you're a horrible game director. And I hope that you learn your lesson from The Last of Us. Maybe one day we'll get another Jak and Daxter or something. But anyway, this was my gaming hot takes. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys either got mad or you got happy with the way that I was saying things. I hope you guys maybe even agree with some things. But thank you guys for watching. I love you guys, and I think all of you are amazing. And thank you for 100 subscribers. I cannot wait to get to 200, maybe even 1,000. Maybe even 1,000. Maybe one day we'll get to 1,000. But after all, I hope that every one of you has a nice and amazing day, or a good night's sleep, depending on where you are. Anyway, goodbye, guys. I love all of you. And I'll see you on the next red save point. It's a classic line. If you remember watching my first few videos. But goodbye. I hope you guys are ready for the next one. Yippee!
This is a certified hood classic.
Commonly thought that pound cake got its name because the original recipe required one.
It's called pound cake, 'cause you can fuck it!